Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Students, in this class we're looking at an IELTS Task 2 writing, discussing the topic of fewer marriages. This essay was provided by Anahita, and Anahita, you're in the class. Thank you. Anahita wrote a response to this, and I thought it was kind of an interesting topic and definitely a question that we could see crop up in the IELTS exam. So we'll talk about how to write about this and what to do, how to create the introduction, the body paragraphs, and the conclusion in the 40-minute time. Writing around 300 words, so the minimum is 250, but you should be thinking closer to 300 words for good band scores. Everybody, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. The strategies, the topics are available at aehelp.com in your premium course. For academic IELTS, for general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. Task 2 writing, which is the last part of your IELTS sitting part of the exam. You also have, of course, your speaking interview. Task 2 is basically the same for academic and for general. In both cases, you are writing a persuasive essay. To discover more about that, you can always visit aehelp.com for academic IELTS. And join the premium version by clicking the big red button. It's just above my head there. We are an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner, an IELTS Test Registration Center. And we help thousands of students every month achieve their desired IELTS scores. When you click on that button, simply use the code VISIT9, coming from our latest video release with the Taj Mahal. Visit 9 for an additional 10% discount. The price is different in different countries. It's actually cheaper in many countries because it's adjusted to your local currency. Okay. We'll be using this website a little bit later today in our next class for listening. For general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. Click that big red button there, and you are good to go. All right, everyone. So, premium students, I will be sending the links for your premium Zoom classes. So those people who do have premium access on the websites, you have 2 Zoom classes each week that are exclusive via Zoom, and I will be sending those links to you later today in the next few hours. If anybody's curious of what those premium classes look like, you can always check out this playlist here. And yeah, Fuang, definitely, I hope you get better, okay, if you're still listening. So the apps are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. You can get the apps in your app store, link it to your account, and go from there. Instagram is IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help. And to access the premium package through YouTube, go to youtube.com AEHelp store and get the premium package through Shopify. Students, if you're interested in editing videos, you like video editing and you want to join our team of editors, or if you have questions about the IELTS exam, immigration, going to school in other countries, especially Canada, you can send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Again, I am a certified British Council agent, so I do have some knowledge of what is required to get a student visa or a working visa, so you can always send me an email in that regard as well, and I can direct you towards the right place. So again, right now, Task 2 writing for members. That means everybody can watch, of course, but channel members are able to join the chat. Then we'll do listening, part 1 and 2. That will be a class available to everybody. And we'll be using Test Glider for that, which is exciting. I haven't done that yet, so it will be fun for everyone. Of course, if you have some time, always check out our latest videos on the channel for the IELTS exam. Okay, let's take a look at this question here. So IELTS Task 2 Writing. Spend 40 minutes on this task. You have to check your watch. After you finish 20 minutes for task 1, you should stop. Even if you're not completely done your task 1 essay, you need to switch to task 2 for the 40 minutes. So you have 1 hour for the writing section. They don't tell you when that 1 hour is over, so you really do need to pay attention to the time. It's easy to lose track of time when you're in the exam and you're kind of stressed. So make sure you pay attention and then switch to task 2 so that you have enough time to write a great essay. Okay, let's read this. Let's read this question. The number of people who choose to get married will become lower in the future than it is now. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Write at least 250 words. Okay, seems like a simple enough question, but we definitely need to figure this out and think about a good essay. I think there are lots of different ways to answer this question. The key here is to use some good information, good knowledge, and some good vocabulary. So step 1, everybody, as usual, is to paraphrase the question to kind of understand it better. And I think we're going to learn some fun vocabulary in this class as well. I myself am married. I have been for... Good thing my wife's not sitting here. I have been for 17 years. But anyway, so I have 2 children, so I have a little bit of idea of. I do remember our anniversary. It's coming up in April. So, but anyway, step 1, paraphrase the question. So I have some. I said that because I have some good vocabulary and knowledge around marriage. I went through the ceremony, and I was part of the wedding plans and all that, and I know what comes with the institution of marriage. So step 1 is paraphrase the question. Now when you paraphrase the question, this is not your introduction. Okay, this is simply to think deeply about the question, understand it clearly. I should go in correct order here. So it's simply to check your understanding. You think deeply about the question, so you start to think about, okay, well, what is marriage? Why do people get married? And so forth. So it's to make sure that you understand it, to think deeply about the question, and then to maybe generate some useful vocabulary. Okay? And it is probably going to be useful in some part of the essay. All right? All right. Yeah, I had to do some quick math there, Elizabeth. I do remember that it was 2007. I just had to figure out what year we're in and do a little bit of math. All right, so let's do that. So the number of people who choose to get married will become lower in the future than it is now. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Okay, so let's paraphrase this just so that we can start thinking about it. Okay, so the amount of individuals, actually, I think there's a better word here than individuals. What's a better word here than individuals? Right? Because individuals is okay. Anahita says the figure of individuals. Instead of figure here, Anahita, figure is kind of strange here. Yeah, Anahita, couples is better, right? Because it usually takes 2 to get married. I don't think we have self-marriages yet. But who knows? We live in interesting times. The amount of couples, who choose instead of, Elizabeth says, yeah, that's better, right? Individuals kind of almost sounds strange or awkward in this context, right? So you're always paying attention. Ghazi, nice to see you in the class. Okay. All right, now Ghazi says the proportion, but does number mean proportion? Not really. So proportion is kind of a strange one. We'll talk about that, Ghazi, because number and proportion are two different concepts, right? Number is like a million, proportion is like 2/3. It's not really the same. So you have to be careful here. I wouldn't write proportion. In a university class anyway, the professor might say, well, it's not exactly the same. So be careful. So the amount of couples who choose is simple, decide, right? Decide to get married. Anybody know any other ways to say to get married? There are a couple of nice expressions for this as well. And it is okay to use these, absolutely, in your writing. There are certainly a few different ways to express getting married. Yeah, Anahita, very nice. That who engage in matrimony, who decide to engage in matrimony. There is another way as well. That's a nice paraphrase. That's an idiom or an expression. Anybody know the idiom or the expression which means to get married? It starts with to tie, and then has kind of a, that's right, Juan. Yeah, it's not tight, it's just tie. You tie the knot. Okay. Ghazi, enter the nest. I haven't heard that in English. I think you might be translating that one. But to tie the knot, okay, means to get married. Okay. So the amount of couples who decide to engage in matrimony or tie the knot will be or become, we can keep that, less in coming years than currently. To what degree do I support this idea or not? Okay, so that's the question there. So again, everybody read the original. So here's the original task 2 question. The number of people who choose to get married will become lower in future than it is now. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? The amount of couples who decide to engage in matrimony will become less in coming years than currently. To what degree do I support this idea or not? Okay, so now we identify the topic and the controlling idea. Okay, so this is step 2, always, everybody. So remember these steps. I know we go through them all the time, but I really, really do believe that as long as you go through these steps quickly and effectively during your IELTS exam, during that 40 minutes, you're going to do a much better job. You cannot just randomly start writing. Okay, for all of those who are watching right now, I see there are anywhere between 70 and 100. Thank you, Ghazi, for that super chat donation. So you cannot simply do this. So this is band 6 at best. This is at best band 6 writing, or band 6.5. Okay, but if you want better scores than 6.5, you have to write different. So the amount of couples who decide to engage in matrimony will become less in coming years than currently. I somewhat agree with this notion in this essay. we'll discuss this further. Okay, this is band 6.5. Right? This is not good writing. This is not considered band 7. Even if you have perfect English here, perfect grammar, perfect vocabulary, you're using some words like matrimony. Yeah, so the examiner here will say like vocabulary for this, and maybe like a band 8. But task completion is just a band 6. Okay, grammatical range is a band 6. Okay, coherence is really just a band 6. It's okay. It's not good. Okay, so you can't write like this. Not at the college or university level. So when the examiner is thinking band 7 to band 9. They're asking themselves, is this college or university level? Thinking in content, okay? Keep that in mind, all right? So that's why I keep telling everybody that you can't just write the same as the other guy or the other girl sitting next to you, basically paraphrasing and then saying this essay will. You have to put more thought into it. So anyway, the topic. What are we talking about? We're talking about marriage. Okay? And the controlling idea. Less, same, or more in future years. Okay, so that's kind of where we're going for here. So we're still in the planning stage here. Okay, and this is all part of the planning stage. Okay. So that's where we're at. Let me just copy that. All right. So now that we have step 2 and we figured out, and the reason I didn't wait here is because I think that you understand what the topic and the controlling idea really is here. Students, you should never write an essay before you clearly identify the topic and the controlling idea. It's a really bad idea to do that. I've seen a lot of students write off-topic essays. If you write off-topic, even if you have good English, you will get a low score because the examiner might think that you tried to memorize an essay that deals with the topic of marriage, but off-topic. Okay, so step 2, you must clearly identify the topic and controlling ideas. Okay, you must know what you're talking about. Okay, so first of all, what is marriage? A better way to ask this, even if you know this collocation, is what is the institution of marriage? Now, when you ask these questions, make sure you visualize and you picture this. Marriage is a little bit different in some countries. So in some countries it's a certain way. In other countries it's in a little bit of a different way, although there are a lot of similarities. Obviously, there's kind of 2 types of marriage almost these days in many countries like Canada or the US. Anybody know what that they are, the 2 types of marriage? Anna says marriage is a procedure in which 2 people become a family. Elizabeth says a union of 2 people. Okay, Elizabeth, you're kind of close. So a union of 2 people. It's a little bit more than that, the definition of marriage. So if somebody asked me, like, Adrian, give a definition of marriage. And by the way, this is your background here to your essay. So when you're thinking about this, you're actually thinking about pieces of your essay, so pieces of your writing. So it's a union of two people. Elizabeth says it's a compromise. Yes. Marriage takes a lot of compromise. So does a good friendship. But I'm not sure it's exactly that. So let's be specific here. So Ghazi says it is when a couple engage together in common law to build a family. Okay. It is a union of two people under common and religious law. Okay, so that is the institution of marriage. It's a union of two people under common and religious law for the purpose of building a family. Yeah, usually, even if they don't have children, right? It's still a family unit. It's considered a family unit once you have the couple. Okay, so it's a union of two people under common and religious law for the purpose, and I could say under common and or religious law. Right, it's not always the same. We get into some very complicated issues. Now, students, do keep in mind as you get into this topic, because some of you might have a lot of information about marriage. So this can be, and not just this, but obviously some topics on the IELTS, this can be a very complicated topic. So be careful not to go overboard. This is just the IELTS. Okay, you are not writing an essay for sociology masters in university. You are not writing an essay for theology. So keep that in mind. Okay. So not a theology or sociology thesis. All right. This is IELTS. So don't overcomplicate it. That's why I didn't really want to put this part in here either, as I just kept it a union of two people under common and religious law for the purpose of building a family. Right? Okay, controlling idea. This will be less or this will be less, not less or more. This will be less in the future. Agree or disagree? Okay. All right. So let's build out our answer here. So the institution of marriage is two people under common or religious law. Why do people do it? And answering this why question for the topic will also help us with the thesis, the controlling idea, if it will be less or more. So why do you think people get married? And of course, you have to think about this before you write this essay. So why do couples choose to get married? I hope you've been thinking about this. So again, for those of you who are new to this, in step 2, you clearly identify the topic and controlling ideas and quickly think of what, why, and how. Okay. So again, for those of you watching, to learn these kinds of strategies, make sure that you're using either the general IELTS course at gieltshelp.com and clicking that big red button, or you're using the course at aehelp.com and clicking that big red button. Okay. These strategies are clearly discussed with examples in your course. All right. So why do couples choose to get married? Anahita says to have happier lives, to have children, to preserve their generation. Okay, but how does marriage actually help with that? Elizabeth says because they love each other. Okay, Anahita says to have happier lives. To preserve their generation. I don't know about preserving their generation, to have children. Do we need to be married to have children? I don't think so. There's no law for that, right? So I don't think these are very good so far. Okay, those would be my top picks. Okay, do I need, the question I have to ask myself here is, do I need these to do this? Do I need to be married to do this? No, right? So these aren't, this is the question that you have to ask yourself, and if the answer is no, then you haven't really found the better arguments for why marriages might not decrease in numbers. Ghazi says to help the population. No, Ghazi. I don't think people get married to be like, oh, I'm going to help the population. Okay? But your thinking is kind of in the right direction. So, Elizabeth, this one here. So Elizabeth says because they love each other. Okay, let's focus on that one. So why might two people want to get married if they love each other? Try to think critically, everybody. So don't really start writing your essay until you have some good answers here. So visualize, think about this. You know this. I know you know this. So you just have to take your thinking a step further. So when we get married, right, visualize, everybody. Visualize. There's a big ceremony. You sign papers. What do you get? So visualize. Visualize, everyone. I need you to be visual like me. Okay? Marriage. Wedding. Ceremony. Guests. Wedding ring. Okay, or some kind of tradition behind it. So, and I understand different weddings work differently, but they all share a lot of similarities. So they involve guests, they involve special clothing, spending a lot of money, wedding rings. What else? It's official. It's recognized. Elizabeth, how is it recognized? Keep going, everybody. Use your critical thinking here. Okay. So wedding, ceremony, guests, wedding rings, official, recognized. What do you get when you get married? You get something else too. It's not a high five, everybody. Sometimes people, hey, we're together. Hey. A little bit more complicated than that. A little bit. Just a smidge. More complicated than that. Okay, so how are they officially recognized? What do you get? What do you get? Well, maybe for some of us this might be some new information, but you get a wedding certificate. Does everybody have a wedding certificate? Whoever's married? I think, Ghazi, you're married, right? Wedding certificate. Okay. So you get a wedding certificate. It's a very official document. Now, do you ever get asked for that wedding certificate? Absolutely. By the government? You get asked, right? It's official. Elizabeth says, I have a wedding certificate. Right? That's not just a friendly letter that says, we're married. Oh, there you go. We have that. It's a very official looking document. Students, here's an important piece of information that you may or may not know. Keep this in mind. Good to know information. We're going to call this good to know information. Okay? Every person or people possess very important certificates. any of the following? Birth certificate, death certificate, marriage certificate, and immigration certificate. Here's something interesting to know. Ghazi, I'm not sure if any of your kids were born here in Canada, but you're going to be thinking about this in a moment. Did you know that these certificates are issued on very special paper that is difficult to copy? They are basically the same as banknotes. All right, so we're going to get into a little bit of fun learning here for everybody. You possess some very important certificates. These are birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, immigration certificates. Ghazi says 2 kids were born here. Yeah, so Ghazi, I'm sure you know, just like mine, when you look at those birth certificates of your kids, it looks like a big $100 bill. It's written or it's put on a very special paper. There's a hologram. It's see-through. Same with wedding certificates. Wedding certificates are on a very special piece of paper. They're hologram. Yes, Ghazi says it's a special paper. It's not just a average paper. And there's a serial number on all of these. Each one of these has a unique identification number. Anybody know why? Okay, anybody know why? Okay, so again, we're still on topic here, and don't worry everybody, we're not going to go way off topic. I'm just helping you expand your thinking and thinking outside the box. Ghazi says it's for statistical matters. Yes. It is to structure society. A country measures its wealth mainly through the amount of these certificates. Each certificate has a monetary value. The current value of a Canadian birth certificate is about $3 million. Meaning that person, on average, in 2024, is worth $3 million in their lifetime. Okay? Now, you can check these numbers and get more precise numbers, but basically all of these certificates, same with the wedding certificate. A wedding certificate increases the value of the couples for society. Okay? So anyway, it's not sociology. I know what some of you are thinking. You're like, but Adrian, I thought you said this is not sociology. And you're right, it's not. I'm not going to start explaining how nations and countries measure their economic growth and values, etc., through these certificates. And of course, it's more than just that, but there's a reason why these are on special paper and have these special numbers. So we're not going to get too deep into that. But it is good for people to have some knowledge of this as they navigate through their lives. Birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, immigration certificates all have this in common. Okay? Everybody get that? Okay, so let's just go back here to this simpler concept of visualizing. Okay, so you have weddings, you have ceremonies, you have guests, you have wedding rings. It's official, it's recognized. You get a wedding certificate from the government. You do your taxes differently. Taxes and ownership become joined in most cases, right? So you co-own your house, you co-own your assets, you co-own your taxes, your debts to society, and so forth. So the way that you navigate the economy becomes different when you're officially married, right? So when we're visualizing this, we start to realize that, okay, one reason that people might get married is to make use of the benefits that come with the institution of marriage. Okay? So, for example, when you're married, one of the benefits can be for sure financial. Okay? Banks will look more favorably on couples that have a history of marriage. So if you've been married for 5 or 10 years and you have money and you have assets and both adults are working and you go into a bank and you ask for a loan, they will more likely give you a loan than if you're just one person going into the bank with the same assets. Do you know why? Because if that one person gets sick or something happens to them, it's just that one person. But in a marriage, if one person gets sick, there's another person that might be able to adjust or compensate for that, right? So stability, okay? All right. So people do get married for the benefits that come with the institution of marriage, such as financial. And there are a lot of couples that think about this, especially in the world today where we have a lot of complex financial issues. Okay, all right. Now, Elizabeth said, well, they love each other. And of course, because of love as well. So that is a good reason, Elizabeth, but we have to make sure that we understand why. Okay, so the word that we're looking for is loyalty. All right, so loyalty towards each other. Everybody knows this word loyalty, and for a student who's going to be getting a band 7 to 9 on this essay, I definitely feel that the word loyalty is important. Now, think about it this way, students. If I'm an IELTS examiner and this is the IELTS question, the number of people who choose to get married will become lower in the future than it is now. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? And then in step 3, we create the thesis statement, right? And we start writing, and let's say that, you have a student in there, because you have, let's say 50 or 60 students taking the IELTS exam, and just one of those students will use the word loyalty, let's say, and their thesis says, I strongly disagree that marriages will be less in the future than now because of finance and loyalty. Okay? So if somebody writes this for their thesis and their second paragraph is a second reason for the continued popularity of matrimony, is to express loyalty between couples towards the public. Okay. And then they start writing, okay, further explaining this. And then the example, right? And then they include here the wedding ring. We'll get into that in a second, right? And so you're like, oh, Adrian, you're just going ahead. You're racing here. You're racing here. So here, if somebody writes this way, and you know, there will be some that will kind of agree and disagree, and there will be some that will disagree and so on. But let's just say that you're the examiner and you're reading different essays from different candidates with different ideas. That's what happens on the IELTS, right? So the one of my friends who marks IELTS essays, she said that for each IELTS session, okay, this is from a real examiner. Okay, so she marks about 150 to 200 essays. Okay, and they give her, I think, like a week to do it. So she spreads it out over the course of a week. They get contracted. Okay, so 150 to 200, and you can bet that in those 150 to 200 essays, they see a lot of different, not just levels of English, but a lot of different thoughts, right? So clearly the examiner sees many different levels of English, but also many different thoughts, right? Okay, now obviously it's impossible for them not to think about what one person said versus what the other person said and how they explained it, right? Now, you can definitely bet that if the examiner sees this word loyalty in the first 10 essays that she's marking, it's going to be really hard to forget that one as one of the arguments for marriage, for any of the essays that are arguing for marriage. So it's important to identify that one. Okay? Everybody sees that? Does everybody? I mean, we literally put a ring on our fingers. Most of us, not all of us, but many people who get married will keep that ring on there forever to express that loyalty. So they don't even have to tell people. They don't have to say, oh, I'm married, right? If somebody says, oh, would you like to go for a coffee? Oh, that's very kind of you, but look, I'm married and you should know that, right? So it avoids that kind of situation, right? So again, lots of visualization here. All right. So now we can start putting together this essay. So let's focus on, you can, and if you have different points and you want to argue different points, that's fine. Members, put your sentences in the chat, but let's get into the essay. So let's start the introduction. Okay. And again, for those of you joining in, you should know that the introduction has 3 parts: a hook, a background, and a thesis. And this is not Adrian said this and that guy said that, or that YouTube channel said that, or British Council said that. No, the English language has a standard for writing essays. Essays start with a hook, they have a background, and they have a thesis. And people who are marking your essays will tell you that they are really tired of seeing templates that people are learning online, like saying this essay will discuss, etc. Okay, so you need to write a good essay. So the introduction has a hook plus background plus thesis. Okay, so the hook should always include the topic in a simple, catchy way. In this case, marriage. Okay. And short, so it should include the topic in a short and catchy, impactful, interesting. And you might hear some people say, well, oh, but my teacher says you don't have to write a hook. The reality is you don't have to write a hook, but it's good to write a hook. Okay, so all of these, you don't have to do this on the IELTS, doesn't mean that it's a good idea not to do it. Okay, just because somebody says you don't have to do it. If you want to get a high mark, you should be thinking standard essay. You should be writing a hook. Okay, write a hook for this. Okay, so give me a hook that includes marriage. This is where it's time to shine, members. Elizabeth, Anna. Okay. For those of you wondering about the structure of correct essay writing, again, when you have access to our premium course, everybody, then what you can do is you can go to your My Student account. You can go to your full online academic course, go to the writing section, look for task 2, and it will tell you that this diagram that we have in our course is taken from English literature. Okay, it's not, we didn't invent this diagram. So let me show you this diagram here. So the hook, the background, the thesis, this diagram with this triangle and then these body paragraphs, this is the same diagram that you see in like grade 12 or college textbooks about essay writing. Okay, you see the same diagram. We did not invent this diagram. We simply have the same diagram in the course to explain to you how to write an essay. Okay, all right. So check that out in your course. Okay. All right. So the hook. I'm still waiting. Anahita. Many people get married when they reach mental and physical maturity. Yeah, that's okay. All right. Anahita, ask yourself, is this really interesting? Is it catchy? Do I want to read more? Maybe. Ghazi, I can see you really want to use the nest part. You want to really refer to couples as lovebirds. Ghazi says, marriage unites a couple in one nest forever. I like it. It's kind of like the background together with the hook. So I like it. Ghazi has this. Ghazi says, marriage unites a couple in one nest forever. Yeah. Anna says, marriage is a magical and sacral ritual for people around the world. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. All right. Keep going. Keep thinking. Students, for the IELTS, you don't need the perfect hook, okay? If you ever write for a magazine or it's your job to write about marriages, there are wedding magazines. There are literally magazines and websites that just focus on this topic. Then you're going to have some really catchy hooks to compete with the other competitors out there to catch them, but these are pretty good. Okay, so if I'm thinking about marriage and I'm thinking about, what happens, and many people dream of their wedding day. How about that one? Some people will be kind of stereotypical here and say that, especially for women, it's true that they plan and dream of their wedding day, but I think it's true for many guys as well. So many people dream of, they're just a little bit maybe shyer to admit, but many people dream of their wedding day. How about that for a hook, right? Like, does that... So if you read this, and look how simple it is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. 7 words. But 7 very powerful words. Why? What does this hook have that makes it powerful? We don't necessarily have to encourage them, Ghazi, but that will happen anyway. right? So that will happen anyway. Why is this so powerful, this hook, everybody? Let me know that for just in a few words. I'm going to adjust my mic here. I think it's a bit loud, or maybe I'm just yelling a lot. So many people dream of their wedding day. Why is that such a powerful phrase or hook? Oh, Elizabeth. Elizabeth says it's because it's a big party. Partly, yes, but it's also very empathetic. Okay. It's powerful because it's empathetic and it's emotional. So most people feel quite emotional when they think of their wedding or their potential wedding in the future. And it's empathetic, right? It's like, oh yes, I have thought of it. And even if you're not married yet, but you're an adult, you might have considered, okay, what will my wedding one day look like, right? And so it catches the attention, okay? And then the background. Give me the background sentence, everybody. So I'm going to write here with relatively good pace, okay? But I want you to do the same. So students, we talk a lot about the planning in these classes, which is fine. Planning is a big, big part of getting good band scores. And I don't often talk about the speed required. Don't worry about your grammar and your spelling so much, students. That's okay. I want you to focus this time on fluency, okay? So write quickly, okay? So focus on fluency, write quickly, okay? So focus on writing fluency. Write quickly. And then we'll check for mistakes after. Each paragraph, okay? It's important to just get your ideas onto paper, or in this case, your ideas onto the screen. Okay, so many people dream of their wedding day. Different cultures have practiced a variety of ceremonies for thousands of years, which signify the union of two people under matrimony. Okay, now the original question for the thesis. So here's the original question at the top. The number of people who choose to get married will become lower in the future than it is now. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Thesis. I completely disagree with the proposition that the number of marriages will decrease in coming years because of financial and loyalty incentives. Okay? So that's my introductory paragraph, all right? And again, students, I know you're paying attention, and I'm sure some of you are multitasking, but I strongly recommend practicing your writing fluency, okay? So now I finished the introduction and I review. Many people dream of their wedding day. Different cultures have practiced a variety of ceremonies for thousands of years, which signify the union of two people under matrimony. I completely disagree with the proposition that the number of marriages will decrease in coming years because of financial and loyalty incentives. This for sure, I guarantee you, if your examiner is reading this, they're going, that's a Band 9 intro. It's impactful, logical, concise, accurate. Okay? That's what they're thinking, and convincing. Right? So we're writing a persuasive essay here. Let's not forget that part. Your goal is to convince your reader. So it's convincing. Okay. All right, now body paragraph 1 seeks to expand. Okay, so we'll expand. Okay. Sure why it's got that box there. So body paragraph 1 seeks to expand on point 1, which is financial. So here's, and I understand, so you have to think, like, where's this question coming from? So writing and thinking fluency here, members, I'm going to show this, okay? Now keep writing, because I will be looking at what you write and I will put your essays together. So Anahita, Anna, Ghazi, I see that you're writing, and keep writing. So keep writing your hook, your background, your thesis, your topic sentence, and I'm going to put them together. That's why I'm going to go through the essay quite quickly, and then I'm going to be looking at the chat and seeing who got how far, and I will put it together. So I see that Elizabeth has the H for hook, and I can kind of see the hook for some of the others there, Ghazi as well. So keep putting it together, because I will stick it all into proper paragraphs and then go over them. Okay, so body paragraph 1 seeks to expand on point 1, financial incentives to get married. Okay, so even though some people may think that marriage is an outdated tradition, the number of people who tie the knot will continue to be the same or more, because it offers many monetary advantages for couples. People who are officially married get many benefits from society to earn, invest, and use more money, since it is in the interest of communities to support family growth. Indeed, a married couple in Canada are twice, and I don't know the real statistics here, so I'm just making this up, but again, on the IELTS, it doesn't matter. Indeed, in Canada, a married couple are twice as likely to get a mortgage loan to buy a house than an individual. And this was one motivating factor for my wife and I to be wed. Okay, So here's my paragraph. Again, it has the topic, an explanation, and an example. Okay? So even though some people may think that marriage is an outdated tradition, the number of people who tie the knot will continue to be the same or more, because it offers many monetary advantages to couples. Okay, monetary advantages means like financial incentives, right? All right. Now, if I want to show more expectation, I can use the future perfect here. Have continued to be the same. Okay. People who are officially married get many benefits from society to earn, invest, and use more money, since it is in the interest of communities to support family growth. Indeed, a married couple in Canada are twice as lucky to get a mortgage loan to buy a house than an individual, and this was one motivating factor for my wife and I to be wed. Okay, now body paragraph 2. Another strong reason to marry and to continue the popularity of this tradition is presenting loyalty between couples towards society. Indeed, the ceremony or the wedding ceremony and laws that govern married couples solidify and express the bond and dedication to one partner. The wedding ring in most Western marriage traditions worn on the ring finger. We even have a finger named after it. Ring finger of the left hand immediately signifies to bachelors and bachelorettes that the person is no longer available for courtship. This is a definite reason to continue the number of marriages to be the same in coming decades. Coming years. Okay? All right, you're writing, students. I don't see a lot of writing, but I see some more writing. Again, you can read my essay after it, and students, I always post these essays, so even if you're just listening to me with kind of half an ear and you're writing your own essay, and you're probably like, wow, Adrian's literally writing this task 2 essay in like 10-15 minutes. Yeah, so now I'm going to review this, right? So another strong reason to marry and to continue the popularity of this tradition is presenting loyalty between couples towards society. Indeed, the wedding ceremony and laws that govern married couples solidify and express the bond and dedication to one partner. The wedding ring is, in most Western marriage traditions, worn on the ring finger of the left hand, additive clause, immediately signifies to bachelors and bachelorettes that the person is no longer available for courtship. This is a definite reason to continue the number of marriages to be the same in coming years. In conclusion, okay, now the conclusion, everybody, is points restated, argument strengthened, and take-home message. Okay, so in conclusion, finance and love, we're going to translate loyalty to love. There are other words for loyalty like allegiance, but allegiance is not, I mean, we could use it, but it's maybe a little, alliance is okay too. Allegiance, let's find the spelling for that. There we go. Allegiance. Yeah, I guess it's okay here. So in conclusion, finance and allegiance for couples are clear motivating factors, or are factors that continue to prioritize getting married. Therefore, I strongly disagree that marriages will have decreased in the future. Okay. And then the take-home message. And again, here, there can be lots. It's the IELTS. It doesn't have to be perfect, just good enough that the examiner says, oh, that's interesting, or oh, yeah, that's a good kind of thought to leave me with. Okay, so the conclusion is not just rephrasing your introduction. The take-home message is what makes it kind of different. The take-home message, meaning a message that you give to your reader for kind of like, why did I read this, right? So the take-home message here is beyond tradition, marriages serve an important part of social structure and human emotion, and will therefore continue to hold a special place in culture. Okay, so that's my take-home message. In conclusion, finance and allegiance for couples are factors that continue to prioritize getting married. Therefore, I strongly disagree that marriages will have decreased in the future. Beyond tradition, marriages serve an important part of social structure and human emotion, and will therefore continue to hold a special place in culture. Okay, now I can read the whole essay and then see how we did. So, many people dream of their wedding day. Different cultures have practiced a variety of ceremonies for thousands of years which signify the union of two people under matrimony. I completely disagree with the proposition that the number of marriages will decrease in coming years because of financial and loyalty incentives. Excuse me. Even though some people may think that marriage is an outdated tradition, the number of people who tie the knot will have continued to be the same or more because it offers many monetary advantages for couples. People who are officially married get many benefits from society to earn, invest, and use more money, since it is in the interest of communities to support family growth. Indeed, a married couple in Canada are twice as likely to get a mortgage loan to buy a house than an individual, and this was one motivating factor for my wife and I to be wed. Another strong reason to marry and continue the popularity of this tradition is presenting loyalty between couples towards society. Indeed, the wedding ceremony and laws that govern married couples solidifies and expresses the bond and dedication to one partner. The wedding ring in most Western marriage traditions, worn on the ring finger of the left hand, immediately alerts, let's use that word, instead of signifies, because I've used signifies. Alerts bachelors and bachelorettes. Alerts is like warning, warning, right? Alerts bachelors and bachelorettes that the person is no longer available for courtship. This is a definite reason, I think. I want to show first person voice here. I think the number of marriages will continue to be the same in coming years. In conclusion, finance and allegiance for couples are factors that continue to prioritize. Continue. Let's paraphrase here. Are factors that just make it simpler. Prioritize getting married. Therefore, I strongly disagree that marriages will have decreased in the future. Beyond tradition, marriages serve an important part of social structure and human emotion, and will therefore continue to hold a special place in culture. And will therefore forever hold. Therefore, thus. Why? Because I don't want therefore forever. It's just the sound, right? And will thus forever hold a special place in culture. Okay? So that's my essay. And if we're curious about the word count, the word count is 290. Okay, that's about a band 9. So 290 words. Band 9. All right. And it really only took me about, I would say, 10 minutes to write it. And again, you don't have to obviously write that fast. You can take more time. But that's the idea. Let's see what you wrote. So, sorry guys, just still getting over that cold. So, Ghazi, I'm going to stick together what you have so far, okay? And we'll take a look at it. Okay, let's take a look at some of your essays. The reason I did that too is so I can take a look here, members. So this is Ghazi. Ghazi continues here with the background. Okay. All right. Okay, Ghazi, this is all that I see from you. So I'm going to go with this. So Ghazi writes, marriage unites a couple in one nest forever. All right, Ghazi, marriage unites a couple forever. Just go with that. Marriage is when a couple get engaged in common or religious law and based on their customs and traditions sign an agreement that they are in partnership. I'm just finishing the sentence. Okay, so then you write, I agree with this statement because marriage needs a lot of money and it restricts people's freedom. Okay, all right, so Ghazi, here, I think what you're trying to do is trying to write the opposite argument, right? Which is okay. And some of you might be thinking, hey, I think there will be less marriages. And you can make that argument. I think it's a bit trickier, but you can make that argument. However, you have to present the essay in a way that you're making that argument. So, Ghazi, in this case, I would do it like this. I think your hook is very good if you want to present the opposite argument. So marriage unifies a couple forever. The institution of marriage is an ancient rooted tradition and involves a lot of preparation, ceremony, resources, and administration. Okay, so my background, Ghazi, if I'm taking that argument, my background would also start to create the feeling of marriage is such a bother or marriage is such a nuisance. Are you following me here, Ghazi? So it's still the truth. It's just another way of seeing the truth to make it feel kind of annoying, because I think you're trying to argue against the popularity, right? So the decreasing. So students, in good writing, in school, in work, in whatever, you're always presenting the information in a way where you convince your reader, okay? So it's like, oh man, all of that, right? And then now you can say, I certainly believe that, and don't refer to the statement, weddings will decrease in the future because they are a waste of money, right? You're not just saying they require a lot of money, but I think what you're trying to say is that they're a waste of money. That they are a waste of money and restriction of freedom. Okay? So they are a waste of money and a restriction of freedom. Okay? Now you have parallel grammar, Ghazi. So if I wrote what you wrote, this is how I would write it. It's the same idea. So Ghazi, I'm presenting the same idea as you, just more convincing, right? So here, Ghazi, is your version. Marriage unites a couple forever. Marriage is when a couple get engaged in common or religious law and based on their customs and tradition, sign an agreement that they are in partnership. I agree with this statement because marriage needs a lot of money and it restricts people's freedom. Now here's my version. Marriage unites a couple forever. The institution of marriage is an ancient rooted tradition and involves a lot of preparation, ceremony, resources, and administration. I certainly believe that weddings will decrease in the future because they are a waste of money and a restriction of freedom. And now I'm off to the writing. Okay. Anahita is saying the background should be related to the thesis, right? Yes. In good writing, your background is already kind of giving the setting or the feeling of what's about to happen. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let's see. Anna has this for us. Okay, so let's take a look at what Anna wrote. Okay, and I've got those two parts, Anna. All right, and then Anna has this. Okay, so Anna writes, marriage is a magical and sacral ritual for people around the world. Marriage is a magical ritual. Let's just simplify it, okay? Marriage is a magical ritual for people around the world. The number of individuals who would get married will become lower now in the future. Will become lower than now in the future. Will become lower in the future. We know that you're comparing it to now. I disagree with this statement because of emotional fulfillment and privacy issues. Okay, you've got two interesting points there, and I would like to see what you do with those in the body paragraphs for sure. A better way to write this, Anna, for coherence and fluency is like this. Watch the wording here. So I disagree with the statement that the number of individuals who would get married will become lower in the future because of emotional fulfillment and privacy issues. Students, this reads smoother like this, okay? Do you see that, Anna? So pay attention to that. Always look to make your sentences easy to understand. Okay. All right. Yeah, Anahita, exactly. You can basically copy paste the what for the background. Absolutely. Okay, James, I don't see your hook. All I see is your background. So this is the background that James is writing. Matrimony marks when two people live together officially through a unique religious ritual in each nation happening for thousands of years. Okay, James, matrimony marks two people officially living together through a unique religious ritual, comma, practiced in each nation for thousands of years. Matrimony marks two people officially living together through a unique religious ritual, and this has been, I would write this as two full sentences joined together, and this has been practiced in every nation for thousands of years. That reads a little bit more natural, James. Okay. All right. Elizabeth has a background here as well. Elizabeth's background is most couples dream of getting married and they want to have a significant event to be remembered, that they are officially committed with their future, in their future. I strongly disagree that marriage will decrease in the future because. Okay, and then we need the reasons there. All right, last but not least, Anahita, you actually wrote the full essay for this, which I marked. So everybody, Anahita actually did the whole essay and sent it for marking using the task 1, task 2 in the My Student account. So she has a version of this marked, right, Anahita? And then you have kind of a different approach here, I think. And I'm happy you didn't just copy your existing essay. Okay. All right, let's see what you have here, Anahita. So Anahita writes, many people get married when they reach mental and physical maturity. It's a nice, clean sentence. It's not too catchy, Anahita, so try to be creative with these sentences, but it's a good hook for the IELTS. A lot of couples get monetary assistance and donations from, it's not donations. We don't consider that donations. It's assistance or support. So a lot of couples get monetary support from family and governments when they tie the knot, right? It's not actually, it's a good point there, Anahita, you're right. Parents, grandparents, uncles, nieces. So it also, the family tends to give more support when they go, oh, okay, they're together. They plan to stay together. So a lot of couples get monetary support from family and governments when they tie the knot. Therefore, this trend will continue in the future and marriage rates will even become more. Indeed, marriage certificates enable humans to become richer even whether they have money or not. Is it circular reasoning? Yes. So this would be more in your body paragraph. So this would go down into a body paragraph. This is your thesis, Anahita, and you're missing your background. You need to add a background here. Okay. Otherwise, it's good. You're on the right track. Okay. Students, I think you're doing a fantastic job here. And finish the essay. I will post this essay on the YouTube community and maybe in a blog as well on the website. For task 2 students on the websites, in the blogs, check out the blogs on the website at the top in your My Student account. There's a lot there to help you. For all of you watching, to get all of our materials and help, join the premium version. Click the big red button at aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. Okay. One-time payment, lifetime access, kind of like a wedding. It's like a marriage. You pay once, you're married to the website. You can use it forever. You tied the knot. So to tie the knot with our general IELTS website, click on the big red button, click that, enter your discount code, which is visit9 in this class. Get that 10% discount, and then bada bing, bada boom, you've tied the knot. Even after you finish the IELTS exam, you can continue using the website forever and ever. It's just like a marriage. We don't ask for subscriptions. The website and the apps will never divorce you. All right, students. So aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. In 30 minutes, I will actually be using a test glider from our website to do listening practice. It's a full test. Let's say we're just going to focus on part 1 and part 2 for today, I believe, and then we'll do it together. It's going to be new for me as well. So this will be a joint adventure for the listening section, and I'm looking forward to it. I will see everybody in 30 minutes. Premium students, I'm sending you your Zoom links for the Zoom classes on Sunday and Wednesday later today. Okay, so later today you'll have those Zoom links. Thank you, everybody, for watching. and keep up the good work, the good writing, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.